Look at me, it doesn't matter. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now joined by the head coach of the Brock Eagles, Coach Billy Mathis. And Coach, you're here at coaching school. We were just talking. Your third year at Brock, and it's a little bit of a different year this year because you're having to not replace more, but more key positions than you had your first year here.
You know, being here in the third year, it's exciting. You know, we finally feel like we got a good foundation of what we do, you know, offensively, defensively, off season, everything that we have going is, you know, the foundation's there. But you're right, you know, losing Tyler and, you know, losing Zach Brewster and Trace Rogers and those guys, those are big losses. You know, we had 10 seniors last year. This year we're going to have 24 seniors. So really the key for us is, you know, replacing those guys. But a lot of these guys that are seniors now have played, you know, since sophomores, and, you know, they've had the opportunity to play in 2 state championship games. And our biggest key this summer has been not being complacent, you know, saying still having that fire in your gut, the fire that's going to get you going where you need to be. So, man, summer's been good, and getting those guys dialed in and, you know, finding a new quarterback, that's you got to have a trigger man back there, right? So finding that's going to be our toughest deal. Now, we got a couple kids that, you know, can compete for it, and, man, they've had a great summer. So we're going to see how it all pans out and where we end up.
Yeah, we were talking about, you know, were you looking to open it up a little bit more? And you were honest, we will see. And that's the thing, that the quarterbacks that haven't got a lot of snaps, they might like good on film, but you're not going to know until that first varsity game. And it's not like you are playing a tomfoolery type of high school. Once again, a tough schedule.
You know, starting off with Pleasant Grove, it's good for us, man. If we're going to go do it, we're going to throw them to the fire, right? So I know our guys are going to be ready. And, you know, it'll be good for those quarterbacks, you know, because there's a difference between – you know, 7-on-7 and scrimmages and all that. When you got D1 dudes coming at you with their ears pinned back, you know, we're going to see, you know, how they handle that pressure, how they handle the bullets flying by. And, you know, I think we're going to be better earlier up front with our O-line. We got to replace Trace, of course, but, you know, we've got guys coming back. You know, Brock Riker being a 2-year starter there on that O-line is really going to anchor it for us. So we're going to be I think we'll be more sound earlier, you know. So, but our biggest key is getting that quarterback spot dialed in and seeing where we go from there. Of course, we always want to open up the offense. Man, we want to be slinging it, running it, you know, 5 wide, you know, double tight. We want to do it all. You know, we just got to kind of see where we're at and what we're doing. And, you know, I have a lot of confidence in that offense and our offensive coaching staff to get us where we need to be. And it's just like everything else. Got to have that mindset. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. But by God, I don't want to start slow again.
Oh, yeah. We talked weekly, and I know the frustration, but, hey, let's talk that defense, because that was your rock last year. They were pretty special. And talking with, like, Pleasant Grove coaching staff this summer, and the first thing he referenced was that was a 4A type defense at the 3A level, and you've got a great core coming back.
We got a great core coming back, you know. Cooper Massey being there at Mike linebacker his second year, you know, he had over 200 tackles, and you know, of course, Cam Harris coming off the end, and, you know, Hunter Fay and Brock being down there at defensive tackles, and, of course, Finney back there at safety. And, you know, so we got a lot coming back. We're probably going to have 10 seniors starting on that, you know. But where I feel like we're blessed and lucky, we've got a handful of guys that we can rotate in there at defensive tackle and stuff to keep those guys fresh, because we're still, even though we have 24 seniors or so, we still got guys that play both ways. And for me, you know, taking guys like Hunter and Brock and Cam and Finney and Coop and all those guys, and, you know, Kearley, and getting them, you know, being where they can go play offense too, because you got to put your best 11 out there all the time, whether it's offense, defense, you know. But at the same time, early in the year, you want them to stay fresh. Yeah. And you go play somebody like Pleasant Grove and Hershey and Wimberley and Gunner and those guys, and the fresher you are, you know, when it comes to the fourth quarter, the better chance you got to go and finish those games, the chance you got to go win.
And for talking about who you're scheduling, it's not just the teams being good, but you're getting different styles that you're looking at. You're going to Pleasant Grove that's going to grind you down. A Wimberley that on film they never look great, but when you play them, they're sound and they can throw the ball, they can run the ball. Of course, we know Gunner, defending state champ, and even Wichita Falls, they have a little bit coming back this year. So I was impressed with not only the talent y'all are playing, but you getting to look at all the different systems, because your district, y'all run a bunch of teams running a lot of different things, and then, of course, the playoffs.
It is. You know, you want to kind of see what different styles of offense and different styles of defense. And, part of scheduling. Those are things that always go through your mind. You don't want to go and just play, all, wing T type teams. You don't want to play all spread teams. You want to play a mixture of both so your boys can get both, and it gets you ready for, for district and for the playoffs. And, that's, playing a team like, Wimberley more is like us, what they do. So, you go through summer and that's kind of one of the tougher deals too, though, when you play these different teams, when you're going through two-a-days and all that, hey, you got to practice against a four-man front. You got to practice against a three-man front. But it's good for our kids, and it helps us as a coaching staff too of, hey, let's keep it simple. Let's not overcomplicate things. And how are we going to be ready? How are our rules going to be the same? And that's where I think our O-line guys, our offensive guys do a great job. Hey, we got rules, right? And we're going to stick with these rules, and our kids know the rules inside and out. And defensively, it's the same thing. We got to be able to line up to any offense, whether they come out, they've never shown it before. If you'll go and play these different teams early, when they get in the game, if a team just jumps out there and double tight wing, hey, we've practiced it already. Even if we didn't practice it that week, we know what our checks are to it and how we're going to get lined up to it.
Your district's been a weird one this offseason. There's a lot of turnover, and there's programs that are struggling just to even field a football team. But then you have like a Ponder that's, I think, made a great hire. You got Paradise that's coming back with a lot. A lot of people are sleeping on Paradise. Your district I think it's taken a little bit of a step back, but I think by the time district play gets there, some of those teams that we might have questions for are going to start answering those.
Oh, you're 100% right on that. Three, Peaster, Ponder, Pilot Point, all got new coaches coming in, and all got great coaches coming in. And they all, and it is, first year, but it doesn't mean that they're going to always take a step back. Sometimes a new coach comes in and breathes a breath of fresh air, and man, they get kids going and doing things, the way they need to do it. But, and I think you're right, and I know you're right on Paradise, because there are a lot of people sleeping on Paradise, and Paradise has got a lot coming back. And, their quarterback, he's a real deal, and he makes that team go. So I think they're going to really surprise. We know what they're going to bring because they play us tooth and nail every year. So we're not sleeping on them, I promise you that. But I think they're going to surprise a lot of people in what they do, not only in the district, but, through the playoffs.
And then when you look at the region, another team people are forgetting because of the last couple years, Jim Ned. Jim Ned's reloaded. And let's be honest, Jim Ned's injuries have kind of been their issue the last 2 years. Yeah. It's weird because each year you got that target on your back, but everybody then's trying to find the next team to replace you. And here y'all just keep standing tall when the season's over.
Yeah, man, we've been so fortunate, but a lot of hard work. Our boys work their tails off. We got a lot of guys, Cam and Coop and all those guys. Not only they, football, but they play baseball in the summer. They may have a baseball game at 11 o'clock in the morning, but I can promise you this. They're up there busting their butt, and they're running, they're lifting, then they're getting in their cars and taking off and doing it. So it means a lot to them, we don't have a kid that says, I'm just going to sleep in, and summer's one of those deals it's different than an off season. You want to go in there because when you go through summer, for me, the way I do it, it's a little bit more lax.
Yeah.
Just because you want the kids going to church camp. You want them going on vacation. You just don't want anybody staying at home sleeping. And we are lucky enough to have a great group of seniors that lead by example, and they hold each other accountable, but they love being up there with each other. They love coming up there and lifting. And, we're down here in coaching school right now, and I had to leave a couple coaches back home to keep the weight room open because the boys are like, Coach, we're not missing out on a day of being in the weight room, especially knowing July 31st is, 2 weeks away. So we're very blessed in that, but, with that blessing comes hard work and dedication. And I think what makes us so good is, not only the commitment that these guys have to the program, but to each other and their discipline. They are as disciplined a group, of doing the things and doing it the right way. We talk about it all the time. If you're going to go get the most out of it, you got to eat well, you got to sleep, you got to do those things. And I know how summer goes, man. Those girls are out there, you're out there at the lake and volleyball courts and all that. And, that's the fun part of being a kid. You want them to do that. You want summer, when you finish up a summer, you want everybody excited. You want everybody hungry, ready to go put the pads on and get after football season. The last thing you want is them getting there and thinking, man, I'm tired. And for us, we've been lucky enough and, to play all the way to December. And the boys know it's not easy. And it is a grind, but the mental toughness, the mental clarity of, hey, this is where we got to go. I think that's a big advantage that we have of doing it.
It's that Brock standard.
It is, right? And hey, we're here to win championships, and they know how to get it done. So getting new turf put on the football field.
Yes.
Had a bond pass. Getting a new elementary school, getting a new indoor and new turf. So.
And talk about that. That's one of those things, we're in a weird era right now where education has become more politicized, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there. But for a community, when they trust in the coaching staff, and that's what part of passing a bond is, it's trusting in what you're going to do. That's got to feel great. We talked about when you came here, you weren't here to find another job. You wanted to lay the foundation. Year 3, and I think that foundation you've built off of what Worrell did, and you've taken it even further. And I think the community passing that bond kind of showed that they have that trust in you. Because we both know, we were talking when it was 0-4, there was some questions about your schedules, and you kept telling them, just hoe the road, it's going to be okay.
That's right, and we have the best community around, and they're tried and true, and they're proud to be Brock Eagles too. And they want the best for their kids. And, passing this bond, Brock has really grown. There's not a whole lot of, industry out there.
Yeah.
It's all rooftops. So, in the school, our superintendent, Ms. Mills, did an unbelievable job of getting the information out there. Our school board, those guys and girls on there, they did a great job of getting the right information out there. Because when it comes to bonds, you know how it goes. All people think, one of the questions was, well, if we don't build any of this stuff, maybe people won't move out here. That's a lot of people that have been there for a time. Well, the reality is everybody's already here. I'm one of the new guys, here too. So, we have the kids. We're busting at the seams, and that's a good thing. A lot of people don't think it is, but it's just the reality of it. So, the town got together, and people out in the town, community members, got together and, man, spread the word, and they did a great job. We got the bond passed, so it is a big deal, and, not only – does something like a new indoor and all that, it doesn't just affect athletics, it affects our CTE programs,
Yes.
right? It affects our band. It affects everybody in the school. And, I've been lucky enough to coach at places that have had indoors, and once you get it, people are like, how do we ever live without this thing, right? And, it's the biggest game changer to me. People ask if you could have an indoor, brand new stadium, what do you want? Well, you want that indoor because you never miss a practice. Baseball never misses a practice.
Yep.
Softball, track, because you go in there, you can almost get a 200-meter, run when you got to go inside. And, of course, in January and February when it's cold and rainy, baseball and softball, they always bring the terrible weather in, so they don't have to miss practices anymore. You put that curtain down in the middle, you got one on one side, one on the other, cross country. Track, you just don't miss anything, and that's a big deal because, this past season, we're going down into the gym, and you just don't get a good quality practice when you're down there.
When you got injury issues, somebody slips, and I think we're finally in an era where coaching, it's I'd rather my kid have a clear mind because he's not baking 120 degrees, and because he can listen to you and he actually learn what you're teaching instead of just praying for the next water break.
That's a fact, and just safety.
Yes,
we had our little kid football camp this past week. Let me tell you, those are tough little suckers. Yeah, we went from 6 to 8 at night with them. We got 250 of those dudes out there running around, and not one of them complained. But if you did have an indoor, you could, roll those garage doors up, turn those fans on, you can get in there, and it does make a difference on, on cooling down a little bit. You don't want to go and, try to make everybody soft. But you got to be smart about it.
We're
too,
past
right?
the salt tablet stage.
Absolutely. Right? Water and stuff is good.
Yes.
Shade is good. I really think the coaches would like it more than any of them because some of these coaches are.
Yeah, because the coaches don't want to admit they don't like being out in the heat either.
It's tough, man. It is. But it's what you do and how you do it. And I think, really as coaches, and you look around at all the thousands of coaches that are down here. That's what makes this profession great. And you get out here and you go eat dinner and you go listen to people talk. You spend more time talking with people and getting with other coaching staffs and going over, strategies and going over offenses and defenses and stuff. It's fun, but, it's our job as coaches to go lead the way, to set the tone at practices or whatever you're doing. It's our job to get out there and to be that, spearhead right there and get them ready. So whether it's little kid football camp, we got to bring it every day as football coaches. You can't go out there and waddle around. You got to come and say, you know what? By God, it's hot. I don't care. I'm I'm going to sweat to death anyways. Let's go. We're going to run around here like a crazy man. You know, or it's the first practice of two-a-days. Got to bring energy. Got to bring it. So.
But as you get older, you have to ice up a little bit more afterwards and in bed by 8 p.m.
Hey, if I could ever get in bed by 8, it would be the greatest day in the world. Of course, my sons now, I got my oldest son, Slade, is a sophomore.
Yep.
My middle son, Brant, is going to be a 7th grader. And, of course, my baby, Steele, he's going to be in kindergarten. So, that's really a fun deal. And we got to coach his kids, a lot of them that are playing for us from, Blake Christensen, our offense coordinator. His boy's going to be a 7th grader, too. Coach Merritt's son's going to be a sophomore, too, like, Slade. And, we just got a ton of coaches' kids. Coach Woods, who we just hired, his son, Brody's going to be a junior.
Yep.
So, not only do you have your football team, but you got your flesh and blood out there, too.
Yep.
And, that's part of what we, as part of the coaching, you love being able to coach your own kids, right? And the greatest thing about coaching coaches' kids is you can go out there and be a little bit harder. You can hammer on them a little bit more, let everybody know, hey, listen, not just because of my kid, I'm going to treat y'all just the same way I treat my own flesh and blood,
exactly.
right? You are my flesh and blood when you're out here. So, that's a good part of it, man. And it's special to have so many coaches with kids. Hey, I think these next couple of years they've been fun these past 2, but they're just going to be more and more fun having our coaches' boys running around everywhere. Our field house is like my 6-year-old and Coach DeLay's 6-year-old and Coach Merritt's daughters and Wood's daughters and Blake's daughter. All our kids get up there. That field house, by the end of the day, it's a disaster. Every pad's pulled out,
But that's always what you wanted at your field house. We talked about year one. You want family and players up there. You want it to be not just a family in name only, but truly a family of players, coaches, and their families.
Oh, boy. There's nothing our little kids love more than going into those locker rooms and, wrestling with all the guys. Sometimes I'm getting there, I'm like, y'all get out of here. Here's this stuff going on in here, But they're always coming out, They'll have the boys upside down, jacking with them. And they eat it up. They love it. But, that's probably one of the cool things about being a coach's kid. You get an experience that a lot of people don't get to experience. So.
And the players learn to kind of be someone looked upon, and that means they have to act right at all times because not only they worry about you, but they could break the heart of a 6-year-old, someone that looks up at them as a hero.
All the time. It is, and it's just a good foundation that you build when you're always thinking about that because we preach that to them all the time. Hey, you're always being watched, right? You are somebody's hero, and it's 24/7 up there with us because all our little kids are around. So, and our kids love our own little boys so much. It's fun, man. It's really special. It is.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Man.